another big thing with orcs is the amount of times that people try to to say like they criticize Tolkien for his use of orcs and say like this group of people is supposed to be orcs. You shouldn't do that kind of thing. And like that the risk that there is with using the term orc in the real world. And so I would like to go into a little what Tolkien had to say about it and kind of his philosophies to kind of clear that up and tell people when it's appropriate to call somebody an orc.
I will personally. Would you mind if I start with this? I read this book called Hobbit and History. It talked about possible traits of possible comparisons between Tolkien's work and his throughout history, and it mentions something about goblins, which I found as interesting.
Okay,
the author did not mention a specific sort of people, but it says the goblins, the orcs, represent the cruelest hearts, darkest hearts of man in the era of modern war. Tolkien grew up. Actually, no. Tolkien fought in World War I, and he saw, I think you can say, humanity's darkest moments, like thousands upon thousands of faceless soldiers marching to kill thousands of enemies, weapons of war designed to kill hundreds, if not thousands of people in an instant. So I feel like that is what Tolkien had when he wrote it. It is like there's no specific people. This is the cruelty that exists in all of us in this modern period. And this is something we should keep in mind. We all have the potential to be orcs or delve into a nature similar to orcs. So, or at least that's what my take is about it. But I do not think saying orcs or goblins are a good term for anyone. It's just, at the end of the day, it's a story of a fictional race. But what do you think?
Oh, yes. Well, I mean, first of all, I agree it is, at the end of the day, it's a story about a fictional race. And even Tolkien said stuff like that. Like where's he? Hold on, I had it a second ago. Oh, yes. He says, yes, I think the orc as real as a creation as anything in realistic fiction. Your vigorous words will describe the tribe. Only in real life they're on both sides, of course, for romance has grown out of allegory, and its wars are still derived from the inner war of allegory, in which good is on one side and various modes of badness on the other. In real exterior life, men are on both sides, which means a motley alliance of orcs, beasts, demons, plain, natural, honest men, and angels. But it does make some difference who are your captains, and whether they are orc-like per se. So, like you said, even Tolkien says here, like it's a work of fiction. Like, in his work of fiction, all the orcs are over here, all the elves are over here, and like, yes. But with that said, like it's not good to say like all of those guys are orcs. Like with the Russia-Ukraine war, there were some people saying like the Russians are orcs, and it's like it's not really appropriate to say Russians are orcs. Yeah. Like that, it's not. And like Tolkien here, like he even said, like Tolkien even acknowledged that on his own side, or the side his son was fighting in World War II, there are some orcs there. Yeah. Like orcs are everywhere in the real life. In a story, you can put them on one side. Yeah. It's not so cut and dry in real life. But he also says, he says here, like, it doesn't matter who your leaders are and whether they're orc-like per se. Yeah. So like there are on all sides, some people, like, you can take an individual and you can say, like, yeah, that thing you did, that was kind of orc-like. You probably shouldn't do that
Yeah.
in the future.
Yeah.
That's because Tolkien didn't like allegory.
Yes.
I forget. There's another letter he wrote to someone where this woman asked him if the orcs are supposed to be communists. And Tolkien said, like, I hate allegory. There's no allegory in my story. It's like the orcs are not supposed to be communists. And he says, and said that it'd just be fair to ask if are communist orcs. Like, not every communist is going to count as an orc per se.
Yeah.
But he also said in the letter, he says, that does not mean that there isn't any applicability.
Yeah.
So, like, there are some things that are orc-like, but not, you can't say they're all orcs.
Yeah. Yeah, that I feel like that fits the whole narrative of Tolkien's work. You may find similarities between the books and in real life, but he just wrote it like a story. A core of what he likes is fantasy as escapism.
Yeah.
In reality, I feel like if we find similarities between his work and out here, that makes it relatable, and it proves he did a good job writing this for us to enjoy.
Yes, like applicability versus allegory.
Yes.
Also, like what you said about like the orcs representing like the dark side in all human beings.
Yes.
So like with that, like there's another thing I remember him saying. It was an interview I listened to. It was a recorded interview I listened to, where Tolkien, he says that Middle Earth is a secondary like world of imagination.
Yeah.
And that within that world, the elves are supposed to represent what humans could be if we didn't have like the unhealthy drive, to dominate and to just get more, and that we just lived forever and we were dedicated to beauty, what we could achieve, what we could be. It was like the human being, like with a better nature, living forever, a better version of man. That's what the elves are supposed to be.
Yeah.
Which I think tracks, like carrying on with like his whole work and with what you said, with everything fitting together well, that the orcs being the representing like the bad side of humanity.
Yes.
And the orcs are elves that Morgoth twisted, and the elves naturally are supposed to represent all the best sides of humanity.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Then they end up being the most just generic foot soldier possible.
Yeah.
Well, I am Bodron. From mountains high to dungeons deep, there's a lot of Tolkien lore to keep.